Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ari, and today we're going to have some more stories about our toxic life. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to my channel, like the video, if you enjoy it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now without further ado, let's go. Today's first story. In this story, Opie discovers his wife's infidelity on Instagram after finding pictures with another man, a police officer, whom she's been seeing for 3 months. Confronted, she confesses to cheating on her husband and is subsequently rejected by both men. He locks her out, and she faces the consequences, including a difficult living situation and social isolation after being ghosted by the men she hurt. Now let's get into the story. My wife and I were both on Instagram, and while I always posted pictures of both of us, she would post a lot of selfies. It was about her, not us. I didn't appreciate it, but I refused to be a controlling spouse. She was her own person, and I trusted her. Sometimes she came home from work late, but I still never thought of her as someone that could cheat. She kept me up to date with what she was working on, and even sent me selfies of her at work. I didn't know that those pictures were taken at a different time and sent when she needed me to believe her lies. We were married for 6 years before I discovered she was cheating. My wife, 31, was working late, so it killed some time. I, 32, got on Instagram. I started looking at her selfies and found one person that kept commenting and being really sweet to her. I clicked on his profile and was shocked to find pictures of him with my wife, super dressed up and flashy. She was not wearing her usual work attire. There was a picture from tonight that said happy 3 months. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. She was out right now with this loser. In the photo, she looked really uneasy, like she didn't want him to take a picture for some reason. Maybe she had a feeling I was going to see it tonight, while I waited for her to come home. He looked fine, like he had no idea she was having a problem. My hands were shaking. So they were together for 3 months, and he was a police officer, according to the other pictures he posted. Even crazier to me was seeing her in a picture with his kids. She met his kids. She told me she never wanted to have kids, but she was willing to meet his kids. This was blowing me away, and I was honestly scared. I felt like I had most definitely lost her and didn't even know who she really was. I called her. She actually answered, trying to act like everything was normal, and she was leaving work, heading to her car. I told her not to play with my heart like that, and just tell me the truth. I heard her suck for air like she was punched in the gut. She was slapped back into reality from my accusation. She asked me what I meant, but she could barely speak. I told her I just saw AP's picture on Instagram and wanted to wish her a happy 3-month anniversary. I said it was good. She got a head start in starting a new relationship because our 6-year marriage was over. A huge fight ensued when she got home. I was surprised she had the nerve to fight with me, but whether or not she deserved to be forgiven. After being caught in a 3-month intimate relationship with AP, she thought she could argue to persuade me that she deserved forgiveness. AP arrived behind her, having followed her home. He demanded to know what she was doing and who I was. I told him I was her husband of 6 years, and he was her AP. She was trying to get him to leave with her, but he wouldn't have it. He asked her if I was her husband, and she said not anymore. He pulled away from her and asked if she was cheating on him with me. She said no, she was cheating on me with him. He was confused and mad and told her she was cut out of his life, and he didn't want to hear from her again. I told her the same thing and thanked the guy for dumping her with me, because a cheater like her shouldn't have a home with a man after sleeping around as she did. She said she was sorry, but she couldn't help that she had feelings for both of us. The more she opened her mouth, the more she sounded like a stupid girl who didn't understand what a serious relationship meant. I couldn't believe she didn't cheat on me sooner. I locked her out, and when she couldn't make me let her in, she went to stay with AP, but he was a wise man and refused to let her in his house. I'm pretty sure she went to stay with a relative she wasn't very fond of because she showed up to her court hearing looking miserable. She was ghosted by the men she hurt, and her living situation made it hard to have a dating life. Today's second story. In this story, Opie discovers his wife's affair on their wedding night and exposes her cheating during a family breakfast the next day. Despite pleas for secrecy, he insists on a public divorce, revealing her deceit to friends and family. Chaos ensues, with the police called, and he stands firm, believing honesty is paramount. The wife runs away with her lover, leaving behind a shattered family and a marriage built on lies and betrayal. Now let's get into the story. My wife and I were married for one night before I caught her with AP. I know, it's crazy. My wife and I dated for 2.5 years. As part of our religious beliefs, we were to remain pure until marriage. If we didn't hate each other, that was good enough for us to marry and commit ourselves for life. We didn't get to live together or spend more than 3 hours a day together because work and everyday chores took priority. So when we got married, I was very excited and looking forward to the life we had ahead of us. Since we were very close to our family and friends, we had our wedding at a venue with a bed and breakfast, and over half of the people at our wedding got rooms there. Even though I was nervous and didn't think I knew what it meant to be a husband, I meant the vows I took with her. I wanted to learn with her and grow. She, on the other hand, seemed nervous, uncertain, and like she was going through the motions. She'd smile, but her face was full of focus and looked like a mask. My wife and I had been drinking, so our first time making love was awkward and floppy. It worked out great for me, at least. I crashed beside her after our long, meaningful day, full of promises and a hopeful future. Then I woke up at 2:30 a.m. from thirst, only to find my wife was gone. After gulping down water, I started searching for her. I listened in on the doors where wedding guests slept. I knocked on a few, but no one answered, and I didn't hear anything. I finally got to a door where I heard voices and crying. I heard my groomsman comforting someone else. He said something about pressing on, even when it seemed impossible. Whoever he was talking to was so upset, I couldn't make out what they said. The comforters said they would always have each other, and any chance they got, they would be together. He called this person babe, sweetheart, and finally said I love you. I recognized his voice as my single unmarried friend, and we were all pretty religious, so I was surprised he had anyone in the room with him unless it was another man and he was gay, which would be pretty scandalous. Then I heard my wife's voice, telling him she loved him too. Her tears started flowing again as she told AP that she couldn't hide it anymore. She didn't want to be with me, she wanted to marry him. All she could do to get through the vows was picture them standing at the altar together. The only way she was able to sleep with me was by getting drunk. I covered my mouth to keep from letting out a noise of shock, but my weight shifted and the floor creaked. The door whipped open, and I saw my friend and groomsman, looking shocked and ashamed, with my wife sitting on the bed behind him, eyes and face red. I don't know how I found the words to say at this moment. The news of their affair was so surprising to me. I looked at my wife and told her she shouldn't have pretended to love me. I said I hated her for using me to cover up the relationship she really wanted. If I hadn't found out, she would have ruined my life. I would have been living a lie while she slept with AP behind my back. She was crying very hard and admitted that she's sleeping with my friend. She pleaded with me not to tell her parents or anyone about this. She got on her knees and said she would do anything for a quiet divorce. I told her she was a cheating coward that deserved to be embarrassed and shunned. Facing that would probably be easier than putting on a charade for her entire life. I went back to my room and contemplated what to do. Most of our family and friends would be at a grand breakfast tomorrow, so that's where I planned to tell everyone. The next morning, my wife was laying next to me in our bed, being extremely sweet and loving. I jumped up and yelled that she was disgusting for trying so hard to trick me. She said we could get away with pretending we were married, while I slept with anyone I wanted. This went against so many morals I had. I told her to forget about me and accept whatever her future holds. We went downstairs and she was sweating bullets. Before we met everyone, I told her she had to face her consequences for lying to everyone and cheating on me. It might be hard to recover from, but she learned how important it is to live an honest life. I stood in front of the wedding attendees, all blissfully munching away, and told them my wife and I would be getting a divorce. Her dad started choking, and everyone demanded to know why. I told them my wife was sleeping with someone else, and I refused to live a lie. There was a collective gasp and head turned towards my wife. I stepped down to go pack my things, and as soon as I rounded the corner, I heard questions and shouting. Then AP stepped in, and it got much worse. The venue actually called the police because the whole family was chaotically yelling at each other, and punches may or may not have been thrown. I think my wife's parents spent $15,000 on this wedding. That's enough to drive anyone crazy. Then you can add the complete disregard their daughters showed for the religion we all followed. I did not feel bad, because besides cheating on me, this woman was willing to act as my wife for our entire lives. Like that was easier than facing the truth about herself and her actions. I know I did the right thing, even though she ran away with AP, never to be seen in the area again. Her parents sent apologies and gifts, telling me they only wished happiness for me and didn't raise their daughter to behave like this. I have no idea where she is today, but it's without the support of her friends and family.